welcome this week's edition of The Focal Point. My name is Bart Kakoza. Now, plastics as a material was invented 50 years ago, but it has caused more havoc to the environment than many other materials. In Uganda, where there are no stringent laws against improper plastic use and disposal, plastics have become so much of a menace that, unless something is done about it, the potential hazards will continue to increase. In our program tonight, I look at the dangers of discarded plastic bottles in Kampala alone and the efforts being done towards recycling and managing the material. It is 3:30 p.m. and 16-year-old Yassini Issa braves the afternoon scorching sunshine as he makes his second round through one of the city's bus terminals, collecting discarded plastic bottles. He has been doing this job for 1 year now. Yassine abandoned school, ran away from his home village in Kapchorwa, and came to Kampala in search of the city's good life he had seen on television. He had also been told many stories about the city's fit life. He confesses that his role model is retired UPDF Captain Juma Seiko. After seeing the immense wealth the officer had accumulated back home in Kapchorwa, he also decided to come to Kampala and follow in his footsteps. Unfortunately, Yassine did not find what he expected. Money was not picked on the paves. He lived on the streets and ate from the garbage until he met Michael Babalanda, a man who offered him a job to pick discarded empty plastic bottles. Yassine is one of the 50 young men who traverse Kampala's city back streets and public places every day, picking discarded empty plastic water bottles as a way of earning a livelihood.
So how many bottles do you collect every day?
A day. I can collect 3,000, 4,000 per day.
How much are you paid?
4,000.
They give you 4,000 shillings?
Yeah.
When you collect how many bottles?
When you collect 3,000.
They give you 4,000 shillings?
Yeah.
So how many do you collect every day?
Every day. I collect 300.
3,000?
3,000.
And you get 4,000 shillings every day?
Yeah.
The man they refer to as the boss is Michael Babalanda, a businessman come environmentalist. On the 14th of January, Mr. Babalanda decided to start a company he called Gadumira Save the Environment and Hygiene Services. But what compelled Michael to start the project?
I saw all bottles were littered in the whole city, and the whole city was dirty, and I said, who will save our environment? Then I came up with an idea and I said, let me start it so that I collect all these bottles and put them in one place, because there was a lot of bottles spilled over, littered the whole country, and I knew that when it will litter for 10 years, the whole Lake Victoria will be flooded, and we will have no fish, we have no fresh water. Now these bottles, when they are littered, the whole rain, when it rains, it goes in that natural drainage, and that takes those bottles up Lake Victoria. So you find them in the lake, they are littered anyhow, because wherever everybody throws it, if it drinks water, he just throws it there.
Babalanda found ready workforce in idle street children. He identified 50 children and assigned them to pick the bottles so as to occupy them and keep them out of trouble with the police. It also enabled them to earn some income.
We had those street boys. They are doing nothing. They are being harassed. So I started to employ.
How did you start your business?
I wake up in the morning, I wash my face, I get breakfast, and then I can start collecting bottles.
Tell me up to evening.
After evening, just like that, I get my lunch, and then I start collecting bottles. After evening, I go and bathe, and then I go and sleep.
Where do you sleep?
The other side.
But do you have a house?
No,
Where do you sleep?
outside.
Yeah, but you have a house back home at your home. Why don't you go and stay in a house in Kapchorwa?
In order to earn 4,000 shillings, a person has to collect a minimum of 3,000 bottles.
Currently, we are using about 50 boys, but the whole of Kampala alone needs about 200 boys which will collect those 10 metric tons.
What do you think about this man?
I sang the man, even the man can help us. We are jobless in Kampala.
Now you can make money.
Yeah.
Yasin is able to collect 8,000 bottles a day. His goal is to save enough for transport to take him back to Kapchorwa.
So what do you do with the money?
The money. Now, like last time, I collect 3,000. I buy my clothes. My clothes which I was having was stolen.
So when do you want to come? When do you think of going back to Kapchorwa?
When I get transport
But
and school fees.
Why aren't you at school? Because there is no need of school fees. If you are in primary school, you don't need to pay school fees.
No, but last time I sat for PLE.
And you passed PLE.
Yeah,
So why didn't you go to senior secondary school then?
I'm looking on transport and school fees.
Yeah, but you have parents. They should be able to take care of you. Huh?
Now, like mother is dead, father is there.
Your mother is dead.
Yeah.
Sorry. Your father is there. What does your father do?
No job.
So how many days do you think you will need to go back to Kapchorwa?
Now I'm collecting bottles. If I get money when that man give me transport, I will go back.
But every day, let's assume that 1 week. In 1 week, 4,000 multiplied by 7, that's how much? 28,000 shillings every week. Isn't that a lot of money that can make
I was
you...
not working every day.
How many days have you worked so far?
4 days.
4 days, okay. So which means you have about 12,000.
No, I was given 10, 11.
According to NEMA statistics, Kampala City alone uses and discards 23 metric tons of plastic materials every day, of which 8 metric tons account for clear plastic water bottles. This is no doubt an alarming figure, considering that for a long time there has not been any serious industrial plastic recycling plant in the country, let alone proper disposal systems. Today, with the minimal available resources, Gadumire team is able to collect only 1 metric ton a day.
If you go the recording of the company which makes plastics, they make around 35 to 40 metric tons a day. And which is littered is around 20 to 25 metric ton. But for us, because our capacity is still small and we're operating on a small basis because we don't have enough funds, we don't have vehicles, we're just collecting 1 ton only. Which means our environment is still in a very bad situation.
I took time off to spend an afternoon with these boys to see how they go about their business. The main collection centers are bus and taxi terminals. It is here that people show their total lack of respect for the environment. Although there are some few designated places here for dumping garbage for the travelers, they choose to discard the bottles anywhere.
Now, this is an obligation to you journalists to make the people awareness, so that people are aware that throwing a bottle is dangerous. 2, it's the police to implement, to come out with a solution, and the local leaders to tell the people how to protect their environment.
Here, the boys make 3 rounds. The early morning one, the midday, and late afternoon one. The rest of the time, they rummage around garbage bins in the slums of Kisenyi with their bags slung on their shoulders. I follow them through the winding labyrinths of the corridors of the congested slums. Nobody seems to bother about these boys as they go about their businesses. It's business as usual. Kisenyi is perhaps the worst littered place with plastics in the city. We hit the eating places and boys seem to have landed on a jackpot. They pounce on the scattered bottles like cats pouncing on mice. Each one rushes to pick as many as he can. In a twinkle of an eye, there is no bottle in sight. We move on to the periphery of St. Balikudembe Market and hit the Nachivubo drainage channel. They brave the dirty stinking effluent and take it by storm as they fish out the bottles, most of which are filled with a run of fluids.
This is where they come and bring these bottles to sell to people who are going to put in things like water, like other juices, like a passion fruit, which are squeezed locally.
So you want to tell me that when the people collect these bottles here, take them and wash them in the other place, and then they sell them to people who are selling passion fruit.
Passion fruits.
Yeah.
That's why I find that there's a lot of cholera in the city. People are dying because of this. They are putting here, cooking oil, cooking what. So that's why I came with this solution to finish, and the police must be aware that they should eradicate this.
Laden with their gather, the boys head back to the center of the market, moving through narrow corridors. They invite me to a place they call the laundry. This is the laundry. It is a plastic bottle collecting and washing center. Here, empty used bottles are washed and made ready to hit the market. If you have never asked yourself the source of containers for that chilled bushera, this is the source.
These bottles, when after using them, some people urinate in these bottles, and again, these people who sell local drinks, this passion fruit, they pour in for other people to drink. And those who buy cheap water, they put in the same bottles.
Every day, all 4 tons of plastic bottles are laundered from here and taken back to kiosks and back streets restaurants from where they pack juices and water to sell to their clients.
Look at the bottles.
Now they are going to sell it.
These ones are for what?
Now they are going to sell it to pack in this ordinary juice for people to drink, which is very unhygienic. Okay.
So they wash them, they bring them and wash them from here?
Yeah, and they start selling them here again. People who are going to drink again, to use it for it. And if you can go around the kiosks, you will see the same bottle packed with some juices, like water, like passion fruit. It's around. You can go and check on these shops around.
So this is where they wash them.
I developed interest in finding out where the bottled drinks are mainly sold. I made my way into the bus terminal. It did not take me a lot of searching before I saw them. Quenching their thirst on the traditional Bachiga bushera. It is these bottles that will be subsequently discarded right here, from where they will be picked and taken back to the laundry. I leave the bus terminal and head to the new taxi park. I ask Babalanda to show me where locally bottled water is sold.
So this water is what?
And now this is water they are selling for people to drink. That's why you see it has no seal. Doesn't have a seal, so the other bottles they collect, they put in the water here and they sell to people.
So how much does this cost?
Now this costs 100 shillings.
But what type of water is there?
We don't know what is there actually. Even the bottle, the hygienic of it, we don't know how exactly it is.
So you think this is one of the bottles that were picked from the other side?
Yeah, these are the bottles. Sewage, these are the bottles.
Rwenzori Beverages, the pioneers and probably the largest bottled water manufacturers in Uganda. The company manufactures its own plastic bottles. Today, Rwenzori Beverages outputs over 20,000 bottles of mineral water onto the market. Last year, the company realized the dire need to recycle the empty bottles that they were releasing onto the market. They partnered with a Dutch entrepreneur and established a plastic recycling plant.
This project is 60% sponsored by the Dutch government. We only work with Rwenzori in that we recycle some of Rwenzori's waste plastic, which is used specifically for non-food use, for cosmetics and other uses. We also recycle the industrial waste from Rwenzori. And Rwenzori is our biggest contributor of waste. Primary objective was to recycle PET bottles, clear plastics.
What's PET?
PET is a clear plastic which is normally used for packing mineral water and juice.
Why was it necessary to have it?
Because PET bottles had become an environmental hazard. Everywhere you drove around Kampala, you would have to drive over PET bottles. The drainages were getting blocked. It was contributing towards flooding, especially in Bwaise. So we decided that it was about time we did our environmental duty and cleaned up the PET plastic.
The 850,000 euros worth plant was inaugurated in 2006. It is located in Nakao industrial area. Tell me about the collection methods.
Well, we have several methods. First of all, we have our own bins in all places where mineral water is sold. We have already distributed more than 500. Our target is more than 1,000 by the end of this year. In all hotels, schools, restaurants, wherever people drink mineral water, pubs, we have put our stands. So we collect from those. We pay cash for that. We also have NGOs involved in the collection. We have people who established garbage collectors like Hilltop, Norema, Nabugabo, which also collect and separate the plastic. We also have a lot of help from the Ministry of Local Government and some help from KCC. KCC also transports plastics from Kitezi for us to here. So many people are involved now.
It is this factory where Babalanda and his group bring the collected plastics for recycling. With a workforce of 40 people, the plant has the capacity to process 5 metric tons of plastic bottles per day.
We are collecting a mere maybe 10 tons now a day. We still have a long way to go. It would require a much bigger investment for us to clear the plastic which is generated on a daily basis, not to mention the backlog of what is already in the environment. We have hundreds of thousands of tons which have been deposited over the years. Plastic has been in existence for only 50 years in the world. It was invented 50 years ago. But it has caused more damage in 50 years than all other products. And so we have doubled our production since we started now. We have now doubled in 6 months. And we plan to go on doubling every 6 months.
Currently, it is operating at 40% capacity because it receives maximum 5 tons of plastic bottles per day. The processed material in form of PET flake is exported to China.
China is so hungry for raw materials that they're giving more money than anybody else for raw material. So it's the same thing is happening in the US. All the waste computers, the waste steel is all being exported to China. So if we get, let's say, $800 per ton in China, we cannot sell locally. Locally, nobody's ready to give us the $800.
So what they do with the products?
In China, the products are reconverted into other plastic products for non-food use. The PET is converted into fibers, and the fibers are made into carpets and clothing and shoes for the American market.
With full production, the company is able to export 150 tons of materials every month. Presently, this plant's capacity is only able to recycle bottles in and around Kampala, leaving hundreds of metric tons generated in other parts of Uganda. More still, those bottles that daily find their way into Kampala's drainage channels and eventually into Lake Victoria, Africa's largest freshwater lake. Well, this effort is just but a drop in the ocean. No doubt there is urgent need for enactment of tough laws against improper disposal, together with regulatory measures on production and use of plastics. As to when this will happen is all vested in government and the legislature. That's all we had time for from our Focal Point this week. Here at Media Plus, make sure to tune in next week for yet another edition of the Focal Point. I'm Bat Kakoza, wishing you a pleasant evening and saying, make sure you dispose of those plastics properly.